All right, quick easy day today. Got a couple partitions left to do. Want to knock those out of the park. That way we're 100% ready for subs. Few little miscellaneous things. Got a couple load path things to take care of, but pretty much an easy day, and framing's just about complete. We're going to cover some of the back to basics today. So some very basic layout skills. This is going to be for 16-inch on center, but you can take these skills and apply them in other ways. So very quickly, 16-inch on center, there's a couple methods I'm going to show here. You get to your 16 and you can mark 3/4 of an inch back. 32, which is a multiple of 16, mark 3/4 of an inch back, and you can carry that on for the entire length of your tape. Another way you can do it is mark 15 1/4 for your first one, which is 3/4 of an inch back. Use something like a nail, or in my case, I carry an awl. Then simply mark on 16s. You can carry that on for the length of your tape. Now we want our studs to be 16 inches on center. So center of stud to center of stud, 16 inches. So that's why we lay things out this way. Now, something to keep in mind, if you're using the method where you're just marking 3/4 of an inch back, the entire length of your tape, when you run out of tape, you can't hook onto that mark and go 3/4 of an inch back. You have to hook onto the mark and then start marking your 16s. Your plate's all laid out, you're ready to nail your wall together, but you have one more step. Set your saw to 3/4 and give yourself a courtesy cut. This is going to come in very handy once your wall is nailed together and stood up. Sometimes you're not going to be putting down finished floor right away. Sometimes your subfloor is going to be exposed for a while. Another great reason to use this tip, if you are actually working on a concrete slab, it saves your blades, it saves time. It's just a little bit easier in my opinion. Your framing, you've already got the saw out, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. Now you may say it's a waste of time. There are other ways to do this, but especially on a custom, it's nice not to have cuts in the subfloor. Imagine if this was concrete, you just saved yourself a pile of money on blades. Maybe not on one project, but over the course of your lifetime in the trades, it's going to save a lot of money on blades. This is a method we like to use when we're plumbing our interior partitions. We have our layout lines on the floor. We plumb up to our strapping, make a mark. I've already got a mark, and in this case, because I'm doing this one by myself, I've got a little kerf. I pull my chalk line across. Hit my layout mark up here, or my plumb mark up here. Quick snap. Now I know that when I stand this wall, that is plumb. It is straight. I don't have to go along with my level every 4 feet and try and plumb the wall. I just hit the layout line and nail it off. We're installing Siga Twinet today in preparation for our Siga Majrex. It's essentially a double-sided tape. Once you hit it with a little bit of finger pressure, squeegee it, and if I can do it, normally I release the tape from the paper, but in this case you have to release the paper from the tape. Almost got it. This takes a second. Of course, everything takes longer on camera. And you can see through reinforced tape, just to show you how tenaciously, this is just a scrap of Siga Majrex, but wet the tape, you can see through there that the adhesive is grabbing the Majrex, and like it will come off, but you can tell by that sound that took quite a bit. We've been very good at minimizing our use of staples, whether we're putting up poly or we're putting up Majrex. And typically we strap out in 2x4 almost instantaneously. So for us to have staples at the start where the seams are going to be covered, or staples at the end where the seams are going to be covered, is no big deal. But we would often have to put a staple in the middle that either just wouldn't get covered, or we would have to go back and get covered. And while you might think, well, okay, one staple, how much air leakage is that? Well, probably not a lot, but you know, when you're 4 under par and you're looking to get to 5, it's the things like those single staples that you have to start looking at. But as you can see, the adhesive is stuck to the truss there. We pull the adhesive tape off, or the release paper off, I should say, and we apply pressure. Kelsey noted something that was kind of important. This is actually a great example of why we have to apply pressure to pressure-sensitive materials. This is a pressure-sensitive tape. It's an acrylic adhesive, and as you can see, a little bit of hand pressure, you can see some of that adhesive flowing through. But as soon as we start using a card scraper or a roller, you can really see the difference, that the adhesive really getting down into all the microsurfaces and bonding with this material. So prime example of why any pressure sensitive tape that we use, that you either have to roll it, use a card scraper on it, apply pressure more than just your hand. You want that adhesive to warm up, flow, and start bonding with all those microsurfaces. Great example. A must-have setup for framing, you need to have 2 chalk lines tied together in your toolbox for some instances when you're framing. This is why it's important to tie 2 chalk lines together. The amount of time that would be wasted running one end of chalk line back and forth, especially in this situation, down the staging or running back and forth, start reeling that to you. Just saves so much time. So our Majrex is our secondary air control layer inboard. Our primary is our zip outboard, but this is our primary vapor control layer. In our climate, we are required by code to have vapor control. This meets it. Actually, it exceeds the code requirement. Code still only requires 6 mil poly. This is a smart vapor retarder, so if the wall does get wet, it allows it inboard. And there is no way that we would get this in a uniform fashion with the wall that we have to put here in place. So I'll show you again once we get this all taped off and we get this wall installed. There's no way we could get this in here properly, insulate this properly after we stood this wall. It has to go in ahead of time. So again, sequence is important, and sometimes it's important to have insulation and stuff like Majrex on site during framing.
Come away with us to Grand Manan, New Brunswick, a small island with a population of around 2,500 people and a seasonal population which grows every summer. Living and building here has its challenges, From product availability to finding employees, we build in one of the most interesting climates. Sun shines, fog lingers, and winds can reach hurricane strength with no warning. But we love it here, and our clients have come to expect nothing less from us than building them comfortable, healthy, durable homes. Welcome to our South Hollow build.